Well, again, Joe, thank you for your moderating this. Thank you all for being here and having that interest. You do have some very distinct choices between who will represent you in Senate District 10. We do know this. Senate District 10 is going to elect a Republican. It's a 72% Republican district, so thank God for that. But I think you need to look at who's running and why they're running. I told you why I was running. I'm running because it's an opportunity to serve the greater community. I don't think everybody up here can say this. Mr. McGuire up here has run for 5 different offices in 4 years. I appreciate you showing my mail piece. I've also got a lot of delegates off of that. You seem to be upset that I point out your record. You do have a record 5 years ago of co-sponsoring the ERA. So I would question your support of life because that would enshrine abortion in the national constitution. You do use your emails and people on the radio and Senator Chase and John Fredericks to talk about me being a Democrat. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, 30 to 40 years ago, I was a Reagan Democrat. I actually, in Hanover County, at the age of 29, ran against Delegate Frank Hargrove as a Democrat. You can imagine how that worked out. But what he forgets to tell you is that Delegate Hargrove took me to lunch the following week and said this: Duane, you're not a national Democrat, you're a West Virginia Democrat. 30 years ago, I was also a Democrat until Goldwater came out. You're as much as a Republican as me. Delegate Frank Hargrove recruited me 30 years ago to the Republican Party. So if he wants to talk about, he didn't tonight because he doesn't like to do it when I'm in the room, that I used to be a Democrat, I've always been a conservative. But for 30 years, I have been a You'll get your chance. You get your chance. This is my turn. For 30 years, I've been a Republican. I've been an active member. And my conservative track record over the last 5 years, you've ran for 5 different offices, did not stop him from calling and asking me for his endorsement. So you're being dishonest. You're lying about me. You know you're being dishonest. And at the end, you can wave your blue card when it's time for you to talk because you did not have the backbone to bring it up until I brought it up. So,
Nasty is Democrat. Nasty is Democrat.
As I understand the rules, this is John's rebuttal. This does not count against his closing statement.
How much time do I have for rebuttal?
1 minute.
1 minute. Okay, first of all, his words are not lining up to his actions. If you read the ERA, it says nothing about abortion. I was brand new. I found out there's something called a rhino. And a Republican woman, Roxanne Robbins, said, hey, you should put your initials on this. And I said, what is it? It says you support women. And of course I do. It said nothing about abortion. And when I found out what it was, I said, take my name on it. What he fails to tell you, I'm not going to be a mudslinger and call him a liar, but I'll let the record tell you who's telling the truth. I've never voted for the ERA. I voted against it every time. And he did run as a Democrat 3 times, and he's trying to hide that. He ran in Senate District 10. And, talk is cheap. He's raised your taxes 40% in the last 4 years. When people all over the place. Raise your hand if your taxes have gone up every year in the last 5 years.
My taxes went up and I didn't even live in this state.
All right, we have a rebuttal
Seriously,
to the
I gotta-
rebuttal with another minute for Supervisor Adams.
well, there's a reason they don't have you on a budget committee because you can't do math. But do not stop.
No, you're nasty.
No. Somebody cannot come here and say your taxes went up 40%. Assessments.
I got a threatening letter yesterday. Didn't even live in this state. My truck's not even registered in the state.
Assessments.
Guys.
Yeah.
All right, let Duane,
Not true.
Duane, please.
As assessments have gone up, the Board of Supervisors last year gave $1.2 million in tax relief to the citizens. We live in a county where property is valued, where the houses are in limited supply. You want to look at inflation? Blame that on President Biden, where we have 8% inflation. we're getting ready to put a big package of tax relief again. So when you see assessments go up, total assessments did go up 40%, but also because you had 2,200 new builds in Louisa County last year, some of that being commercial, some of it being things that increased the value of the assessments in this county by over $2 million in single projects. So you can twist the facts all you want. You can twist the facts all you want. You made a mistake on the ERA. That's a pretty big mistake. That's an amendment to the federal Constitution.
Not a vote, ladies and gentlemen.
You co-sponsored it. So you want to parse words? You parse words. You co-sponsored an amendment to the federal Constitution that would enshrine abortion into the rights.
Time's up.
He's got a blue card, so it's a minute, second blue card.
No, this is wrong, man.
That's for the next Board of Supervisors meeting.
Listen up. Remember I told you earlier, be very, very, very picky about who you elect. When their words aren't lining up with their actions,
Fake Christian.
you got to be very careful. Here it is right here. It shows you every year, and he keeps calling everybody a liar, very rich for someone who's never served, calling somebody a coward and a liar. I'm not going to call him a coward or a liar. I'm just going to look at facts, because the truth is the light, and it will set you free. And then a few days ago, when he's saying he didn't raise your taxes, there was another thing in the mail with his name on it, saying it's going up to 14%. He thinks he's smarter than you with his slick words, but do your research. Every tax expert in the General Assembly did a study on him and gave me the report and showed me that is a tax increase 100% when other counties were lowering their taxes, giving people some tax relief. He failed to do so. And the tax relief that he did give you is nothing compared to what it would be to lower the rate. And there are people, and listen up, I get phone calls from retired people all over Louisa County that say, I'm on a fixed income. I can barely make it. He could have given them a relief, but he didn't. But he sure did support those people with the hotel, didn't he?
Okay, we're back to the closing statements portion of our forum with Sandy Brindley. And just for the record, John's used both of his blue cards. Duane still has one. Sandy and Jack have two.
Can I borrow one?
That's right, Sandy has one.
Well, I want y'all to know that I'm a mom of four. I'm a former public school teacher. I'm a retired businesswoman who has extensive experience being a liaison for over 30 years in my community, helping the organizations that I work with make good decisions that actually serve the people in the community. I've been ingrained in my communities. I've been in my classrooms been in the classroom with my kids as a volunteer, hearing what the teachers need, hearing what the parents' concerns are, hearing what the staff's concerns are. I've been working for nonprofit organizations, whether it be a women's shelter or a food pantry. I am ingrained in my community, and I make sure that I am working to help organizations serve the people so that their lives are better. And that's what legislators are supposed to do. But the main reason that I am in this race is because our schools are broken. And 10 years ago, I had a prominent Republican tell me when I asked them, what are we doing to target our teachers? And he said, that ship sailed, teachers are already all Democrats. I said, bad answer. It was a bad answer then, and it's a bad answer now. We have a situation where the Republicans have given up control of education policy to Democrats for far too long. And the reason that's happened is because we have never, that I can find, had a conservative educator in the state Senate. It's about time that we put one there. So that and that should be me. I hope that you understand how important this election is. If we do not save our schools and get the Marxist theology and indoctrination of our children stopped, our country is going to be at risk. So this is a very important choice for you to make. You have a great selection, I think, and I may be a little biased because I'm included in that, but I do ask that you look. I am the only one on this stage that has a background in education. I'm the only one that has been a classroom teacher and understands the needs inside that school. I'm the only one that figured out how to break racial barriers without ever using the principles of CRT. I used the lens of the US Constitution. I am the one that has the experience that we need in this moment. And yes, experience matters.
Next up, Jack Dyer.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here because our future of our Virginia, our children, and our grandchildren are at serious risk. And I'm not a politician or an orator, as you have seen, or a professional campaigner. But I am a businessman and a straight shooter. I've always been told you judge a person by their actions and their work. I have a huge, extensive record of leadership roles with a rule of getting things done the right way. My resume, which I brought with me, and you can have a copy of it, proven ethics says it all. Some of the differences that exist between us. I've been in business for over 42 years as a commercial general contractor, as an owner and a CEO of a very complex business. I'm an in the trenches type of person. Have a huge work ethic. I started as a laborer in my early teens and worked up through the ranks. I know what it is to earn a dollar, a hard dollar. And I know what it means to stretch that dollar to make ends meet. I'm a tough and a fair negotiator that spent a lifetime bringing people together to get work done and make a difference. And that's what I'll do. I've served on the State Board for Contractors, a governor appointee, with 14 other board members. I spent 10 years on that board. I served 5 as chair. I've been down at the General Assembly for over 10 years advocating for small business. I know the ropes at the General Assembly. I'm not a politician, but I know the ropes. And I can get the job done better than what we have on our plate right now. The experience that I take to the Senate, the perspective I take to the Senate is not matched up here. It'll be a new perspective. I'll be an outsider, and that's what's needed right now for our state of Virginia. We need to bring the voice and engagement of we the people back into the General Assembly, and that's what I will do as your senator. I ask for your help on May 6th to win that primary. And I thank you for this opportunity and for you coming out tonight. And any questions, please catch up with me after the debate.
And John McGuire.
Thank you, Joe, and the Louis GOP for the opportunity to be here tonight. I'm much better with a rifle and giving a speech, but I have a lot of energy, and I do work hard. And raise your hand if you've ever elected somebody that has great speeches that said, I'm going to do something, and then they do something different. Have you guys ever seen that? Look around the room. With me, I have a 6-year track record. You don't have to guess. You know, we have some great candidates in this race, and thank God it is a conservative district. But one thing that you know is that I will not waver. I will not be bought. And I put God first. And I'm a constitutional conservative, Christian conservative. So I've had a lot of successes in 6 years in the General Assembly. My first week, you guys may know, the newspaper said Freshman McGuire just solved an 8-year problem in 2 days and saved Virginia $100 million. There were folks at the supervisor level and at the state level who said, John, we've already spent 8 years on that. Why do you think you can solve that problem? Well, what I did, we the people, I put people in a room and said, what do you think? What do you think? And together we solved that problem. When Governor Youngkin was elected, he put me in charge as the Landon Team Chair for Secretary of Defense and Veteran Affairs. Under that purview was 25 base commanders, everything veteran in Virginia. And I was surrounded by some amazing people. And together we put together short-term, mid-term, long-term goals for Virginia to help it be a more veteran-friendly state. 10,000 veterans a year retire and go to North Carolina. And when I'm knocking doors in Louisa County, a lot of people say, I'm going to North Carolina this weekend to see my grandbabies. Well, how come your son and daughter didn't return or retire in Louisa? And they said, oh, they don't tax their retirement pay. So for 30 years, they tried to reduce taxes on veterans with no result. Governor Youngkin said, you recommended it, you carry it. And it took 8 months. We reduced taxes on veterans in Virginia $40,000. We can get things done when we work together. I heard Joe say, why would you need a bill like that? Why would you need a bill to tell people we need to keep boys out of girls' bathrooms? I think the Democrats hate our country. Why would you think police are bad, criminals are good, and not care about the victims? Why would you want to defund the police, tell them to stand down and demean our police? Take away your guns and your Second Amendment and put dangerous criminals back on the street. Now, everybody's going to talk about fentanyl bills. I've actually put in a bill 3 times where every Democrat, every Republican voted yes, got to Governor Northam's desk, and he killed it. So then we got a Republican governor, and every Democrat that voted yes voted no, and our people are still being poisoned. Talk is cheap, the proof is in the pudding. You have words up to here, and some politicians have actions down to here. I'm a man of action. I work hard, and you know what you're getting with me. No one will outwork me, and I will not compromise our conservative principles. Please sign up to be a delegate, and let's save our country, save our Commonwealth. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming, and Robin has some closing statements.
First, I'd like to thank Joe for being the moderator. You did a great job. I do want to thank all of you for coming tonight and for the candidates being here. And if you want to go to the convention, I need your form by 5 o'clock tomorrow. 5:01, I can't accept it. So just make sure you fill it out. If you don't come, it's okay, but if you don't fill it out, you can't come. Please help our rising Republicans as you leave, and let's wipe out their table and help them to get what they need. Thank you, guys. Have a good evening.